NBC nightly news anchor Tom Brokaw has found himself in the news this week after he was forced to apologize for offensive comments he made during this past Sunday's Meet the Press. Brokaw was part of a panel discussing President Trump's proposed border wall and the reaction his base has had to the rise of Hispanic population in the United States. Brokaw claimed he's heard people say they don't want, quote, brown grandbabies, before adding his own opinion into the mix. Check it out.
I also happen to believe that the Hispanics should work harder at assimilation. That's one of the things I've been saying for a long time. You know, that they ought not to be just codified in their communities, but make sure that all of their kids are learning to speak English and that they feel comfortable in the communities. And that's going to take outreach on both sides, frankly.
A spokesperson for NBC called Brokaw's comments inaccurate and inappropriate, with others calling out NBC directly to improve diversity in their bookings. In a series of apology tweets, Brokaw said, in part, "I feel terrible. A part of my comments on Hispanics offended some members of that proud culture. I am sorry. I never intended to disparage any segment of our rich, diverse society, which defines who we are."
Yeah.
I think that's real cute to say now, but I think you meant exactly what you said when you were speaking earlier.
Absolutely.
And if I'm honest, I'm actually grateful for this, and I'm going to tell you why, because it exposes what people are really saying behind the doors, and finally, someone is bringing that to the light to tell us, oh, please do tell us what you guys are discussing behind closed doors, that, oh, you don't want brown grandbabies, oh, you would prefer if we, oh, you want us to be more like you? Sir, I don't want to be more like you. I really do not want to be more, I don't want to assimilate to become like you. Ignorant and racist and prejudiced against people who come to this country who may not know that language, but you should celebrate that, because that's what makes this country who we are. And I find it incredibly ignorant that he had the nerve to say that we don't assimilate to speak English. Well, sweetheart, the native language of this country is not English. So let's start there. Let's start there. I also have a real issue with the fact that it's looked down upon the fact that people speak other languages. In other countries, that's actually celebrated. Your intelligence is actually considered better if you speak multiple languages. And trust me, those children will learn once they get through this program. But having parents who speak other languages encourages you to have a diverse language, the fact that you can speak different languages. So I think that's a benefit. Yeah. And it's just really upsetting to hear and see, but I am grateful that we're actually hearing and seeing the truth about who you are.
Well said, Adrian. I think the most alarming part of what he said was, I've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
That part. Like, he's been thinking that for a long time. So, yes, when God shines light on what's been in the dark, it's about to clean some house. And so this is good in that,
you shine light on what these people are saying.
Because let's remember, we're not talking about like a Joe Schmo who has just been out here and we just learned about him. This is Tom Brokaw. This is a global face who still thinks this way. And this is an example of what we're dealing with when it comes to people who make legislative decisions. Like, this is exactly what we need to crack down on. And for me, this hurts so much because my parents who immigrated here worked so hard to make sure that I don't lose the blood that I came from. That I add what America should know about Asian Americans, or at least my Vietnamese culture. So I didn't speak English at all until I was in first grade. I learned through Sesame Street because I had to at some point to coexist.
So did I.
And right, and so that to me, like, because when I sit here and we here have a show, because can you imagine if we were all the one same-minded person that assimilated to be like Americans? Like, we have so much color that we add to the conversation because of our different experiences. Thank God for our parents to not water that down.